5 critical things you need to know about doing a proper front punch. Stay around to the end because the last one that I'm going to go through sometimes knocks students out for weeks and sometimes months at a time, knocks them out from their training completely because they injure themselves. So 5 critical things to remember when you're doing a proper front punch. The first one is make sure that you're closing your fist tight. A lot of people will punch with their fist, just kind of tight. And so what happens is they end up with some air pockets in here. So when they hit, there's nothing there. It just collapses. Their hand just collapses. So make sure that you're squeezing your hand tight. Roll it down and squeeze all of the air out of your hand so it's nice and tight. Your hand should be nice and square here at the knuckles. Should be nice and square. And so that's the first thing. Squeeze your hand tight. Second thing is make sure you tuck that thumb underneath, nice and tight. What happens a lot of times is students will get relaxed and they'll squeeze their hand tight, but then they don't tuck that thumb under. And so what happens is you can jam your thumb, smash your thumb into something, end up breaking your thumb knuckle. So you want to make sure you squeeze that hand tight, tuck that thumb underneath. The third thing you need to remember is this is your striking point of your hand. The reason for that is this side of your hand, there's a lot of small bones on this side of your hand. So you'll see what's called a boxer's break a lot of times because boxers have big gloves. And so when they punch, they can punch on this side of their hand and it doesn't hurt them. But in the martial arts, when you're doing bare knuckle punching, if you punch with this part of your hand right here, anything very hard, I promise you, you're likely to get a break. And so squeeze your hand tight, tuck that thumb underneath, strike with these 2 knuckles, the largest knuckles on your hand. So when you're punching, aim with those knuckles. If you hit this way and hit this part of your hand, you're likely to break it. This part of your hand, lots of big bones on this side. The fourth thing you need to remember, so squeeze your hand tight, number 1, tuck that thumb under, number 2, punch with those first 2 knuckles, number 3. The fourth thing you need to remember is make sure that you're keeping that wrist straight. A lot of times, again, especially beginner students, or if you get tired in your training, you can punch and you have a tendency to bend that down a little bit. So the force ends up driving your hand this way and can definitely injure that wrist, hyperextend it, and even snap your wrist if you're not careful. So when you punch, you want to make sure that that striking point is on those first 2 knuckles and your wrist is lined up here. Nothing to the sides, this way or that way, nothing up or down. Make sure that it's completely flat. When you strike, it's completely flat right here. So again, just review real quick. Number 1, squeeze the hand tight, no air between. Make sure that you're tucking that thumb underneath nice and tight. So if you do hit something, it's not going to dislodge your thumb or break your thumb knuckle. Number 3, make sure that you're punching with those first 2 knuckles. If this part of your hand is striking a target at all, and this part is not, you definitely need to adjust how you're punching and make sure you aim with those first 2 knuckles. Make sure that you're punching nice and straight. The last thing that you need to remember to do a proper front punch is to make sure that you keep your elbow slightly bent. And the reason for that is a lot of students will punch. In martial arts, we do a lot of air punching, so we're practicing punching this way. And so what happens is we punch and we punch out, we lock that elbow. And what happens is when you lock that elbow, you're going to hyperextend your elbow. This is one of the number 1 injuries that I see in martial arts is the hyperextension of that elbow. So what you want to do is, I'm going to try to roll it up here a little bit so you can see my elbow a little bit better. So when you punch out, make sure that you leave a little bit of, not a lot, you're not punching like this and leaving your elbow completely bent, but you want to punch. And so that when you extend out to your punch range, where you want to punch, you want to make sure that you have just a little bit of bend. Watch. Just a slight bend in that elbow. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep you from hyperextending your elbow. Because if you punch out and you hyperextend that elbow, you're not going to want to, nor will you be able to punch any kind of punches for probably a couple of weeks and maybe even a couple of months, depending upon how bad you hyperextend that elbow. So again, just to review real quick, 5 critical things you need to know to do a proper front punch in martial arts. Squeeze that hand tight. Tuck your thumb underneath, nice and tight, and squeeze it all together. Punch with those first 2 knuckles. Make sure that your wrist is completely straight. And when you punch out and leave just a little bit of extension in your elbow so that you don't hyperextend it. That's your 5 critical things to remember when you're doing a proper front punch. We'll cover in another video how to do follow through, how to do targeting, how to do those kinds of things. But this one is just basic, how to do a proper front punch without getting injured. So there you have it. Take care. It's to your training and to your success that we're here for you. May you have a wonderful day. See you next time. I'm on a quest to spread martial arts throughout the world. I want people to love martial arts as much as I did and still do. I've been studying martial arts for over 40 years, and I love martial arts. I love everything about it. I don't train to get into a fight. I train because martial arts makes me a better person. It teaches me self-discipline, self-control, self-respect. It teaches me how to focus on treating others with courtesy and respect. It teaches me goal setting and achieving. So many things that martial arts can teach us, not to survive a fight, but to survive life. And that's what we're doing here at Shogun Martial Arts, is we want to share the love of martial arts with as many people as possible. So if you enjoyed today's video, we would love you to hit the subscribe button, like button, and make sure that you look for our other videos as we come out with them, as we teach people about Okinawa martial arts and how to train those, not to get into a fight, but how to stay out of a fight. Not just to win at fighting, but also to win at life. May you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. Take care.